Broadcasting live from a shack on a hill in the Mossy Creek bottoms of Cane Creek, Arkansas. This is Lighting the Void live here on YouTube. And I looked up, like I was telling Ari in the chat, I looked up and it was Thursday. I'm wondering something though. Does this work? Let me check something. Yellow. Okay, it works. Yeah, last week I was having some weird sound issues, man. All right, so we're going to continue our space talk. I'm sorry. It's one of the things that I have to talk about. Out-of-body experiences, consciousness. I would say if we do talk conspiracy on this show, that it would probably be a little bit of space talk. Because there's some heavy conspiracy leaning towards space. Okay, now we got Bryce in the background, I think. I don't know if he's still there or not. He's probably working on something, clinking around. I think he's building his own spaceship, actually. You there, brother?
I'm here. I'm building my own spaceship.
He's building his own spaceship, that's right. Yeah. So, look, just to tell you how in touch I am with this stuff, last time I talked about this thing, this 3i Atlas, I was calling it 31 Atlas, but I always say stuff wrong, you know. I mean, this thing is a rare celestial visitor, only the third confirmed interstellar object documented back in July. So here's the big thing that I want to get into. Like, we have to really look at where this thing originated from, and I think the odd stuff about all this is we're not going to jump straight to aliens, although we are going to talk about that here in a second. But the odd thing about this is its significance as far as like gases. There's new data that came out on this thing, okay? So they're calling it it's jaw-dropping new data. I think they want to scare you, but also I think it's really, really interesting. So we're going to get a little nerdy. Prepare yourself for this, okay? Now, the chemistry is usually what defines a comet. When they look at a comet, they can see all the gases coming off of it. They can tell what chemistry is coming off of it. And they go, okay, well, that's a comet. So this telescope, I guess it was the James Webb telescopes, infrared, whatever, reveals that it has an astonishing CO2 to water ratio of about 8-to-1, which is the highest that we've ever seen. That's nerdy talk for super rare, right? Super rare. No, never seen anything like it. So this CO2 dominance suggests that the origins of this thing are probably somewhere from some like ice line or a rich environment of radiation or something like that, possibly forming in conditions very unlike our solar system. There's the big talk about 3i Atlas right now is that it has no tail. That's what people are saying. It's got or Avi Loeb saying it's producing light on its own, which is it's not supposed to do that, and it has no tail. Here's where I think we make a mistake. And please, you know, if this is upsetting, I'm sorry, but I think it's true that we jump to conclusions. Just like when we can't explain things. Now, again, I'm not saying it's not aliens, but when we can't explain things that happen in our life, we say God did it. And when we can't explain things in space, we're saying, hey, it's got to be aliens. I mean, what happened to just being like, you know, I don't know, right? Like, I don't know what the hell it is. That would be a good thing to say, right? Like, I don't know what it is. It's just it's a big jump. And there's nobody, well, there probably is a few people, but there's nobody more on the planet than me, myself, and my friends. We want it to be an alien. Well, do you want it to be an alien, Bryce? I think we like unconsciously want things to be aliens. You know what I mean? I think
it'd be cool to find out that we're not alone, but it'd also be not cool to find out that we're not alone and visited by hostile beings. That's for sure.
Right. The biggest conspiracy is that all of space is fake. It's not even real. Well, for it to be totally fake and unreal, I mean, it's got a lot of crazy junk just flying around out there. I'm not even going to go down that road, but we do make pretty big jumps. Just like when we see, quote, UAPs or that used to be called UFOs, a lot of us jump straight to aliens when it could be government technology. Just like this object Might not be alien, but it just could be some random space junk. But let's get into it a little deeper, right? MJ says we're not alone. Harry the Cat says, I need a Chat GPT instant metaphor translator. Me too, man. They have one, but you have to program it, I guess, to do that. So I guess the thing about the gas, it's the gas that is what's freaking people out. It's another thing that's freaking people out. There's nothing as far as the CO2 to water ratios goes. We've never seen anything like that. Pretty boring stuff for alien enthusiasts, but for like nerdy scientific space watchers, that's a big deal because we've never seen anything like that, especially get this close to Earth. So all of our expectations are growing as this thing gets closer and closer to our solar system. And in just a few weeks, it will be here at some point in October. I can't believe it's September already. I looked up, it was Thursday. It's almost September. Now it's about to be October. This thing is going to fly by two of our close planets and then kind of park itself behind the sun. And I think we might get to see it just for a little bit. But there's a lot of weird stuff. Like if you look at it mathematically, as far as probability is concerned, then yeah, like it's not. That's Avi Loeb's biggest argument about this. And I have his like Harvard paper pulled up here, like the actual paper that he wrote. But it is so like extensive and pretty boring. But you can look it up pretty easily. It's just hard. Just type in Harvard, Avi Loeb Harvard paper 3i Atlas. And there's a whole PDF you can download if you really want to look into this. So the big thing that we need to understand, like scientifically, I would think, is how are these anomalies challenge our understanding of planetary formations and interstellar object populations? In other words, how did we get here? That's one of the biggest questions, right? It's like, how did we get here? Was it the Adam and Eve story, God thing? Was it aliens, or was it, ancient Egyptians disguised as aliens? There's theories about AI now, but we were talking about last night that, if you look at nature and the laws of nature, everything seems to have some type of a sexual orientation. But cosmically, you could say that comets, objects like this could seed planets. They could just fly by them, land on them, drop things, change the chemistry of the sphere, and then start terraforming planets. That's a real theory, by the way. Would that really be considered alien? Not the alien that we like to talk about, but it would be kind of alien. Would it take away from the Adam and Eve story? Yeah. Would it take away from the whole Egyptian alien thing? Possibly. But that could be what's going on. This is why I think we need to study these things. Now, I've seen videos of people, by the way, just really trying to get as much traffic as they can on YouTube from this 3i Atlas stuff. There's one guy we were listening to a while ago that said he remote viewed it and that it had some kind of like light prisms and spirits on it and things like that. I don't know. That's a little out there. But we could. He could have. I'm not saying it couldn't happen, but what I think is possibly the coolest thing about this is, number one, we're probably the chances that we're going to be able to see 3 interstellar objects that happen, like Oumuamua, Borisov, and then this one, in one lifetime is pretty rare compared to if we relate it to our past history. So we're getting to be a part of some crazy stuff. I think it's human nature that we want to figure things out because we're kind of afraid of not knowing. In fact, I know people that are afraid to even say, I don't know, because they don't, it's like it makes you uncomfortable just to say, I don't know, for some reason. Like you have to always appear to be on top and know everything. And really, we don't, even the smartest people on this planet don't know what this thing is. They can't fully explain it. They haven't just to be clear, they haven't fully established that it's a comet yet. That's saying something in itself. It's only a few weeks away, and they haven't fully established 100% agreeing across the board that it's a comet. What they do know is that there is a crazy amount of light that it's emitting on its own. It has a very, I guess I'm getting older, I'm forgetting metaphors and words. It has a very unique ratio of CO2 and water, unlike anything we've ever seen. It's bigger than the other objects. We don't even really know how big it is, and it doesn't have a tail. So you could swipe like all of the, for now, all of the scientific and nerdy stuff away and just look at those things. But if you go on like Secure Team 10 and a couple of these other alien stuff, it takes a lot for me to get into the alien world, but I'm looking at it again. These guys, it's almost like they're trying to make it, you could tell they're trying to make it into an alien craft of some sort or a probe. And I think the coolest thing that we can do is just say, I don't know. We don't know what it is. Let's try to figure out a way to investigate it. That's the same thing, by the way, that happens with out-of-body experiences and the esoteric and stuff. Like, we're always trying to explain away stuff that we really don't understand. And then if we can come up with our own story about the reality of something, then it starts cults. So just like this, it's the same thing, even in the out-of-body experience. When people can like explain everything, I have a really hard time believing it. There's certain depths of knowledge that we understand as far as space is concerned, just like there's certain depths of knowledge that we understand as far as conscious exploration is concerned. And other than that, there's a select few people telling us how things really are. I mean, it's just weird to me. So it's important that we just try to stay like even keeled about it, so we don't, in my opinion, so we don't jump to conclusions. Again, everything that looks strange in space or in the sky is an alien. Everything that looks strange in people when people act funny is a demon. And everything that we can't do in nature, or when nature does something weird or something we can't explain, especially a long time ago, hell, we call it God. Doesn't mean there's no aliens, doesn't mean there's no God, and it doesn't mean that whatever the third one I said was, it doesn't mean those things don't exist. Demons, right? It's just, I feel like we want to jump to, it's like we have a theory and then we'll try to make our facts, it's like confirmation bias. We come up with a theory and then we try to make our facts fit our theory instead of collecting all the facts and then building a theory around the facts. That works a lot better, I mean, imagine if every single detective in the United States, when they ran a case, did that. I've got a theory, and then I'm sure some of the dirty ones do, but I got a theory, but I'm just going to start collecting evidence based on my theory. There is a big urgency in this, though. I mean, there's a big scientific community, like urgencies, because how unusual this is. Like, they're chomping at the bit to study this thing the closer it gets. But it could be a very big opportunity for a groundbreaking discovery here. So, could we ever see a probe from another system? That's what, if you read Avi Loeb's paper, that's what he's kind of saying. Like this, he even says it's possible that this could be a hostile craft of some kind or a probe. And then he follows it up in his paper talking about how fun that is to think about those things. It's not fun if it's hostile, or if it's a threat. That's not fun to think about. That makes me want to get ammunition. Right, Bryce? Didn't you say something like that's why you're stocking up on ammo over there? You never know, man.
Yeah, you never know. I was kind of being facetious, but yeah.
Yeah, like he's just like, it could be the way he was talking about it. He's like, it could be an alien threat. It could be an alien probe, or even it could be malicious. Isn't that fun to think about? I'm like, hell no, it ain't fun to think about. But could we ever send a probe like this? You know, or what does the gases like the CO2 dominance imply about the formation of it? I don't think that's. I mean, I've seen people all over YouTube jumping up and down about the CO2 stuff. It's so unique, and that's cool. They're getting excited about something that we've never seen, which I think is way better than jumping to like it's an alien. But the probability that it's from aliens is just as small as it's not I guess it's not a comet, but it still could be. It very well could be. But I think we need to be on the cautious side. I want to see if Trump's going to say anything about it, or if Space Force is going to get involved somehow, or if they're at least just going to launch some kind of something up there to look at it closer, because it's when it comes by, it's going by quick, and then it's like hiding behind the sun. So this is a cosmic enigma in our lifetime. That's what matters. 3 of them, Oumuamua, Borisov, and this thing. This one specifically, really strange. And I think it may not be as entertaining as saying it's definitely aliens or it's God or it's a demon, which is pretty much what's all over YouTube. I think it's really cool to say, man, I don't know what that is. Same thing happens when we get out of body, like when we have a not a lucid dream, but when we have like an etheric out of body projection, and all kinds of chaotic, crazy things happen. That's cool to me. Not the chaos in itself, and then trying to find the truth parallels inside of that chaos. Not, I guess for some psyches, it's just not fun or it's scary because if you can't explain it, then it's scary. But to me, it's cool. It's just saying, well, man, I don't know what it is. Let's check it out. This is a pretty unique thing. And I think for some reason, I think other stuff is going to follow behind it. I mean, we've already had 3. And the things get weirder, stranger, and more unique as they keep coming into our solar system. That, to me, is what's pretty weird, you know. What I want to do, like here in just a second, though, is I want to play a couple of clips from what people are saying about this, but if I can get it up on the screen, you know. But let's talk about like the brightness of this thing. So Avi Loeb highlights that 3I Atlas's orbital plane lies within 5 degrees of the solar system's ecliptic plane. So he's calculating that it's only about 2% or 0.2% chance of being random, which makes it completely random. It's like you flipping a coin. It's super rare that happens. He also talks about how the exceptional brightness of this object indicates that it's an object roughly 20 kilometers in diameter, far larger than I guess we expected for any kind of interstellar debris. And then he argues that the interstellar medium doesn't supply enough rocky mass inside the light, all that light. So it doesn't supply enough rocky mass to produce such a large object naturally. So he's basically saying it's not implying that it's natural, according to him. Okay. It takes about 10,000 years for that much mass to arrive. So if something's coming into from my understanding, if something's coming into our solar system from a long ways away, it would take about 10,000 years for it to create that much mass and to actually get here. So I guess what he's not saying is that maybe it is from super deep space. He's not saying that, but another thing that he talks about, which I want to bring up a fact here that might contradict what he's saying, is so in like typical comets, the trail dust, it just kind of, I'm sure you've seen a comet before. If you're my age, I know you have. We've seen like 2, but comets have a pretty large tail that gathers dust and stuff behind it. Now this thing displays like a glow. It's glowy, and it's glowing in the direction of the sun, but it doesn't really have a tail. And he describes this as an unprecedented thing for a comet. But there's some guy in Brazil that has a massive, and I can't think of his name, but he has a massive following astronomers that follow him, and he said he found a little bitty tail, but even a little bitty tail wouldn't explain this. Like, this thing should have a pretty decent tail on it, you know. Okay, so what else is he saying here, though? The CO2 thing. Like, getting into the gases is kind of boring, but it's interesting to know that, you know, this thing is so rich in CO2 with the water production at 5%. It's the outgassing of it. It's 16 times more unbalanced than all the other comets. So there's 3 or 4 things right there that don't display a typical comet. Now, if someone walked down to you in the street and you say, is that a monkey? Well, normally, let me think. A turtle. Is that a turtle? Well, normally turtles have hard shells. Well, that doesn't. Is that a turtle? Well, normally turtles kind of walk slow. You know, if you described anything and took what normally it would do, 4 things away from it, 3 or 4 things, you couldn't define it as that. So what I'm saying is, we can't define this as a comet, yet there's a big kind of like arguing thing going on in the community that it's just a comet. It's not a comet. Not yet, anyways, that we know of. So this CO2 cloud acts like the CO2 gas acts like a cloud, like a shroud, which keeps us from studying it deeper, I guess. We want to get to the middle of this thing so we can figure out what's going on. That's what Loeb talks about. He said, if, you know, it keeps us from being able to study it deeper. It's striking, he says, and unexpected. Again, this is all hypothesis. So Loeb and his colleagues authored a speculative paper. Again, I told you guys about that. I'll you know what I'll do is I'll leave a link to that in the show notes if you guys are interested in the paper. But they authored this paper suggesting that this could be a technological probe, possibly, and this is where he says even a hostile one, given this unusual characteristics and trajectory. And then he starts to have fun with it, which makes me think he's a little crazy. I mean, if something was coming in that was hostile, or it was possibly a hostile probe, would you think that was a fun thing to like laugh about? I don't know, man. Down here in the South, when we hear words like that, we just start stacking up ammunition, right? So he frames this as a kind of like a thought-provoking exercise, but it's a, quote, an interesting exercise in its own right. It's fun to explore, even if a comet is more likely. And he warns that assuming every interstellar object is just a rock may limit our scientific curiosity. Complacency with traditional ideas, he says, is the enemy of scientific curiosity. So right there, he's given away, in my opinion, like, this is just me, but he's given away why he's telling people, he's talking about alien probes and all this stuff. I don't actually think that Avi Loeb thinks that this is possibly an alien probe. The reason why I think he wrote this paper and the reason why he's doing it is for that reason he just said right there. If I go around telling people, hey, we found something, we don't know what it is, and then I start saying it might be a threat, what happens is more people get interested in it instead of just saying, oh, it's a comet, and they don't even care about it, which brings more money into the scientific community, which allows them to investigate things and explore things, because that's what scientists do. And he did go on to suggest that future direction and monitoring efforts like those from this Rubin Observatory that they're talking about should remain open to the possibility of look at this word, techno signatures disguised as rocks, a Trojan horse scenario. That's big, scary words to scare the government so that they can tax you to give to the Space Force and give to the scientists so that they can go investigate this stuff. It's the same thing they're trying to do with UAPs. They brought that word up, security levels, because they need funding. They need people to get interested in it. So he's stressing pretty big that they need to extend this observational campaign, not only to test this hypothesis, but also to alert humanity to existential possibilities beyond our current horizon. This I agree with. Bryce, I don't know if you're still there, and you, whoever's in the chat, like, I'm curious because this does. I personally would like to know that we have some kind of plan in place, because I got this weird kind of feeling that something weird in space is going to happen. I don't know if it's this thing, but I've got a weird feeling something's going to come down the line, like a COVID experience in space. And what are they going to do? Do they have a plan to protect us? Do they have anything in place? Do they even talk about that stuff? You know,
I haven't even looked into that kind of stuff in years, but they can't even. But our government can't even harden our power grid against solar EMP. So,
right. I mean, when the COVID thing happened, they're like, everybody put on a mask and get in your house. I mean, are they going to make us do the same thing? Like, if this happens, is that their best plan? That, like, they don't have. We have a space force, but what's the plan? You know.
Everybody, get out a shovel and dig a hole and get in it. That's what they're going to do.
Yeah. I mean, then he said this, man. He said, I would be relieved, and he used the word relieved, if 3i Atlas turns out to be just a natural comet, because that would mean humanity isn't facing an alien threat. But he still urges open-minded scientific inquiry. Now, what are you guys thinking when I say this stuff right now? What are you thinking? I'm thinking the whole Werner von Braun thing, where he predicted all these three things to happen, and the third one was what was it, like a fake or a staged alien threat, something like that. I have a feeling that they're trying to play around with this somehow, trying to push it somehow. What is the Space Force doing? Does anybody know? Like, I'm not saying that because I'm accusing them of being a waste of tax money or any of that stuff. I'm just, from my understanding, they're not really doing anything, which probably isn't the truth at all. Space warfare, as far as like satellites and moon stuff, probably is a big damn deal behind the scenes that we don't even know about. Or know about everything that's going on. But if they had if they could get us scared about an object coming from space, boy, they could get some money, right? The scientific community could get some money. Space Force would get money. Because I know what we would do as a human race. We'd sit back and just be like, oh man, I hope they fix it. That's really all we can do. Unless you're good at getting out of body and like going up there and checking it out yourself, which is a discussion for another time. But or we could talk about that too. But I mean, astronomers say unidentified object could be alien spacecraft. We've never seen such a thing. You know what bothers me? I'm going to circle back to this. I think this is really important. I think we all should ask ourselves, like, when we can't explain something, do we have the courage to say, I don't know what that is? Or do we need an explanation right now? Or do we just put theories on it that we want to believe? That seems like human nature. That seems like what we do. Countless YouTube videos, Facebook posts, things that I've seen. When people act crazy, like I said, it's a demon. If something happens in nature that's unexplainable, usually here on this planet, God did it. And if there's an object in space and we can't explain it, or it's completely random, it's an alien. Doesn't it? I mean, what is, Bryce, can you say, I don't know? Does it bother you to say, man, I don't know what that is? Does it bother you?
It doesn't. Well, I think think we all know that it doesn't bother me because I say I don't know all the time, but I can always speculate and then say I don't know.
Yeah, like why do we have to explain stuff away? Same thing for the OBE stuff. I know guys want me to bring all the Darius Wright people, start talking to them and stuff, and I think like Darius Wright's methods are great as far as getting out of body, but the whole story of, man, I was, I'm special in this divine way because some being talked to me or something, and there's these 12 layers of heaven and all this stuff. Man, people have been talking about, if you go back through the archives of this show, you know how many people I had on this broadcast mapping out the levels of consciousness as far as like earth to heaven. And they were all different, by the way. None of them lined up with the other guy that was explaining it. And these were some pretty prominent conscious explorers. So I'm not taking away from Darius Wright at all. He could be right about that. But I'm very skeptical about those things now. Very skeptical. This is why I like Robert Monroe's stuff so deeply, because he just reported like everything that happened to him when he was out of body, but he didn't try to make it into some kind of dogmatic teaching or a real thing. It was just questions, I'll talk about the alien thing. I kind of want to get what you guys think a little bit more too, but I need to take just a short break, and then that way I can grab a clip and pull it up here, because it wasn't working before I tried to get it on the show for some reason. But I'll get it working. I always figure this out. Remember, too, this is a live broadcast, so we don't really know what the hell's going to happen. Anything could happen at any point in time. Like me trying to find a track to go to break to that's not going to get me flagged, but the hell with it. This one's definitely going to get me flagged, so I'll have to take it off. Be right back. Okay. I got the so I got the secure team video here. Let's see. Let's see if you guys will see what I'm talking about here. If I can get this thing to work.
What's up, guys? Tyler.
That thing's loud. All kinds of copyright going on
Hey, what's up, guys? Tyler here with Secure Team.
Let's see
Tonight,
what the big deal
I got
is.
something that's, well, it's been keeping me up. And let's be honest, that's not too hard to do. But this one is different. And that is because there is an object which I am thoroughly sure that all of you have heard about and have been waiting for my take on, moving through our solar system right now. And the deeper you look into it, the stranger it gets. Now, if you guys have been keeping up with the strange activity in space lately, or you saw my last recent video about 3 weeks ago or so where I first discussed the discovery of this anomalous object, then you've probably got a pretty good idea of what most people know, officially at least. You've probably heard the whispers about a mysterious interstellar visitor named officially 3I Atlas. But if not, don't worry. I've dug into the details, and trust me, something doesn't add up here. Now, officially, the space agencies...
What's your first reaction when someone says, trust me? Trust me. I know what I'm talking about. Like,
Don't.
I think they're
Just don't do it. Don't do it.
I say that sometimes though. I'm like, trust me, right? Like, I think sometimes people say that because they might not be trusting themselves, you know.
have said that 3I Atlas, which, by the way, is the third interstellar object ever detected entering our solar system, is basically just another boring comet passing through space. Case closed, right? Not even close. Because when you actually dig into the data, the facts don't line up, and some of what we're learning suggests that this could be one of the most significant and possibly artificial objects ever to pass through our cosmic neighborhood. So grab a drink, get comfortable, because we are going to break down in official Secure Team style what we know, what they
Oh, I'm going to grab a drink.
This is what people want, man.
Could be a lot more than just a comet.
It's
3I
amazing.
Atlas was first spotted by the Atlas telescope system in Hawaii, flagged immediately because of its steep hyperbolic orbit, meaning it's not bound to our sun. It came screaming in from interstellar space from the direction of Lyra, where it then swung around the sun and is now headed back out into the void. On paper, it's quote-unquote just a comet, a dirty snowball from another star system, knocked loose and drifting our way.
I want it to be an alien too. It would be cool if it was an alien, but that doesn't mean it's an alien.
That's the safe official version, but the closer we look, the less that story holds up. Now, about its size, estimates range from a few hundred meters up to several kilometers. But whatever it is, it's tearing through space at over 130,000 miles per hour, faster than anything humanity has ever launched. And here's the kicker. This thing could be ancient, possibly older than the sun itself, drifting through the galaxy for billions of years before it showed up here. And that brings us to today's new and very strange updates about 3I Atlas. So here is an update that just came in hot today, and it changes everything. The James Webb Space Telescope has finally taken its first close look at 3I Atlas using its powerful NIR spec instrument, and what it saw reportedly shocked researchers. Instead of a water-rich comet, which is the textbook model, Webb found a coma overwhelmingly dominated by carbon dioxide. We are talking one of the highest CO to water ratios ever measured, and it's not a fluke. NASA's new Sphere X
Let me see if I
mission
can I say things like
confirms the
that? Let me
same
try.
thing, detecting a sprawling bright
You know what's crazy about this thing is that it has a massive, I talked about this a while ago. I'm going to see if I can present it this way. A massive amount of carbon dioxide in it, unlike anything in space that we've ever seen before. And then just flash some like pictures of aliens at you, you know. It could just be an object. It just could be space sperm with a bunch of CO2 gas in it, or we don't know what it is yet, you know.
bright CO2 cloud around Atlas with almost no water vapor to be found. And yet, what's the official word? NASA is sticking with the, quote, natural comet label, brushing it off as just having, quote, very unusual proportions. So this weirdness is exactly what's fueling the debate, forcing the mainstream to stop ignoring the elephant in the room, and that elephant's name is Avi Loeb. So what do we have here? Because this story just continues to unravel. Just like with our old friend Oumuamua, the first interstellar object caused a huge stir. 3I Atlas is not behaving like a normal comet, and I don't suspect it will anytime soon or with any further data that we do get. That's if it's even the real data. That's the problem with NASA and other space agencies is they lie. They cover up things, they release false or fake evidence, and then you have a ton of people online hating on you because they think that you gave them incorrect info, incorrect data, or that you were just making stuff up. But
here's the thing: is this in this guy's name Tyler? Like, what he needs to understand is nobody trusts NASA anymore. Like, nobody that I know trusts NASA 100%. We don't trust any government organ. I don't trust the news. I'm not saying that they don't report the truth sometimes, but like, you know, when I hear people say, "Oh man, I got blocked, I got censored, people are hating on me," this stuff, like, show me the hate, show this stuff to me, because I think it's just blown out. A lot of things are blown out of proportion. Like, nobody's hating on this guy like the way he thinks.
Cover-ups have been uncovered many times.
I am a little bit
by others, as well as yours truly, right here on Secure Team. So, despite this strangeness, NASA is sticking to their guns, saying that the nucleus of the object is likely under a kilometer across, made of CO2, water ice, and other volatiles, just in very unusual proportions. And as you'd expect, this has reignited debate, and most of the scientific community says that Avi Loeb's alien probe theory is far-fetched. But even now, they are being forced to directly address his claims instead of just ignoring them. So this is a war for the truth, and the divide is clear. The official line says natural comet, but the data keeps throwing curveballs. So next, I'm going to go one by one, talking about the other unusual things about this so-called comet.
It's not a comet.
First,
I don't think it's a comet.
Let's talk about the issue with the tail. Comets heat up, and when that happens, ice vaporizes, which then leaves gas and a dust trail behind. Classic science here, guys, but the Hubble telescope's images of Atlas showed something that should not exist, and that is a dust plume pointing toward the sun, or in other words, a comet with a tail facing in the wrong direction. So, you know how a typical comet gets close to a star and it starts to melt, and you know the ice and the dust burn off and trail behind it, forming that classic comet tail, always pointing away from the sun. And so 3I Atlas is doing the opposite. So,
Matrix says he thinks that this guy is a fraud.
And that's not
look, I just grabbed, just to be totally clear with you, I just grabbed this video because it represented 90% of the stuff that I'm seeing online. They're taking like the 3 or 4 facts that we talked about the 3 or 4 facts that we talked about that make this thing different, and pushing the alien narrative or the conspiracy narrative. Like, why it doesn't make for a great, I'll just be honest with you, like it doesn't make for a great video if you just come out and say, we don't know what it is. Probably not an alien thing, but we don't know what it is. But all of this crap is like, it's just the idea to make. So they have this tool on YouTube that came out. I was actually part of the research. I'm sure a lot of you YouTubers were a part of the research, and it's like this AI tool, and it's teaching you to tantalize people's minds with, clickbait, obviously clickbait titles, thumbnails, things like that, in order to get views, because they need to get views so that they can make ad money, and the people that own these channels need to get more subscribers so that you know how that stuff works. But if you really cared about like the truth of these things above all that other stuff, you wouldn't be doing these things. You could just talk about these 3 or 4 different facts about this thing and say what Bryce said and what I said earlier. I don't know what it is. Let's go get facts. Let's go get data. Let's go get evidence, or try to as much as we can. We gotta start, just in my opinion, like we gotta start doing that stuff in this community more, Even in conscious exploration, especially in conscious exploration.
A, quote, sun-facing dust plume. But let's be real, nobody has a clear explanation yet, and it breaks all the rules. In fact, there's not much of any ice or water or gases coming off of this object at all, and the only thing that they've really detected is basically a thin cloud of dust coming off of it, not the typical chemical makeup that you would see with a comet, let alone a comet with a tail pointing the wrong direction as it heads towards our sun. Next, we have an issue with the chemical makeup. Too much CO2. And
we talked about that too. So what else? What else? Give us something else.
Should be coming in from random angles, slicing through the solar system however they happen to arrive. But Atlas, it just so happens to be cruising almost perfectly aligned with the flat plane our planets orbit on, the elliptic. That's not what randomness looks like.
That is kind of weird.
It looks deliberate. So much so that it has and will be making some very close passes right by many of the planets in our solar system, including Mars, Jupiter, and others. And this is a point that is bothering a good amount of researchers, because this thing just so happens to be coming in on a very clean path, almost perfectly lined up with the same flat plane that most of our planets orbit on, and that's weird. Interstellar objects should be coming in at all sorts of angles, not neatly aligned like this. It's like someone planned the route. Maybe it's a coincidence, but maybe not. But here is the real kicker. Observers have noted a non-gravitational acceleration. In other words, Atlas is getting a push from something besides gravity. Normally, scientists explain this with cometary outgassing, which are little jets of gas acting like rocket engines coming from the comet. Well, that explanation falls apart here, because for the amount of push Atlas is showing, it should have a massive glowing coma with bright jets streaming off of it. But it doesn't. Even the James Webb Telescope, with its unmatched infrared eyes, sees an elongated.
What the hell is this picture? What is this a picture?
Nothing coming off of.
What is this a picture of right here? So this is what I'm talking about. Like, what is this a picture of? Right, this is a picture of a flying saucer with 4 red lights coming off of it. What the hell does this have to do with? What we're talking about here. I remember this now. All right, anyways. I think I'm done with this, but Aiden Soft says they're searching for uninhabited planets. We're safe. I think we're safe. I mean, I feel safe down here in the South. Like, if there wasn't, that's another question too. Like, if there was an alien invasion, would you feel safe where you are, with the community that you're in, with the neighbors that you have? Would you feel safe? I'm pretty safe, I got to tell you. some things I won't go into detail about, but I'm pretty safe. Bryce, you're pretty safe, aren't you? I think Bryce is safe.
Yeah, I'm pretty safe. Yeah, I'm safe.
I mean, it's natural for people, but especially Southerners, to dig holes in the ground and stack ammunition. Like we just
They just
we just tend to do that.
they're gonna see Kansas and be like, "What? No, let's not go there." No,
Yeah.
guys, it's boring. It's too boring.
I remember watching Secure Teams videos a long time ago, and just it's almost like they're still to this day trying to make everything out into a conspiracy or an alien. When, oh man, I love you. I mean, if you've listened to this show, like, I love you. God love you. That this community is the hardest community to be a part of sometimes, especially if you're really in your heart deeply concerned about the truth and real justice and things like that, because things can go off the deep end. By the way, I did a podcast with Anthony Tyler, Black Hoodie Alchemy, where we kind of went deep into this, talking about mental health and this community, like the conspiracy community, the New Age community, paranormal community. So we had a pretty deep, like, psychological discussion about mental health and all of that stuff. So go check out Black Hoodie Alchemy. It's his latest episode that's out where we talked about it. But for those of us that want to know the truth, like, this gets, we're bombarded with this stuff. It's like 80% just phantasmal stuff trying to stimulate your mind, get you scared, get you worried. That's like 85% of stuff, or false stories, or what's the worst thing that I think, as far as cause and effect is concerned, that affects this community the most, is when someone has a real experience and then they add on to the story. So once they have like a real experience, and I told you guys, I've had this happen. I caught someone lying to me about Sasquatches and kicking sticks to make rocks come down the hill and stuff like that. They had a real story there. I mean, there was I don't know what you would call it, like an anomaly, a magnetic anomaly in the ground where rocks would float. It was amazing, man. I went down there and checked it out. It's still amazing. I still talk to them to this day, like, this is amazing. But they added aliens into it, and lights and Sasquatches and UFOs, and it wasn't even them, it was the TV show. Now we're going to get to be on a TV show, right? So we got to go along with this narrative. Meanwhile, the whole thing, the really cool thing that I went down there and witnessed and saw and experienced, really wasn't talked about that much. So they added on to the story, just like when a kid tells you a story, like something happened to him. Or I'll make it even simpler. When you hear about someone that, when they get into a fight, they tell their stories about, yeah, I got in a fight with this person and this is what happened. Now, if you were there and witnessed the fight, and the way that person's telling the story, usually it never lines up, right? It just never lines up. And yes, I'm with you. Anything is possible, right? I'm not saying aliens aren't possible. My point is I think a lot of this stuff is real, but it's so covered in bullshit. And I've been in this stuff for over 10 years now. This is why I harp on it. It's so frustrating. Things are so covered in people's agendas and psychological messes and BS that we can't get to the facts. Or someone's trying to, I don't know, sell you something that isn't really the truth. Now, look, as far as the money stuff is concerned, I think that if you find something valuable, then you exchange your money for it. Then whatever, it doesn't matter. But if it's not real, if it's not true, or if you're adding on to the story, then not only are you doing a disservice to all the truth seekers, but for the people that have had real ET experiences, that have had real out-of-body experiences, that have had real whatever experience, you can name it. Like, you're doing those people a disservice. You think that you're going around by adding on to your story and making things more fantastic than they are. You think that you're helping them, but you're not. You're making it get taken less seriously. The truth's getting covered up on an even deeper level. And just because you need attention, and we all need attention on some level, but you need attention on a level that others don't, you're hurting those people. I'm gonna use a whole different subject, okay? But imagine rape victims. That way you can see how serious it can, like how. So there are people that are real victims to this stuff, and there are a bunch of people that talk about it that aren't, and they use it for their own. What you guys have seen it. They use it to get money. They use it to get attention. So when you go around spreading horse shit, it makes those people that are true victims, just like in this community, the people that have had real experiences, they don't get taken as seriously, and they get hidden beneath the BS. You know, I don't like it. It pisses me off. It's always upset me, but that's just because I'm super, super passionate above all things about what is the truth to this stuff. Now, you don't have to tell me at all, man. Matrix, thanks for hanging out, by the way, that this stuff is real. I've had my own OB experiences. I've witnessed, as far as like ceremonial magic and things like that, stuff manifest on a real level. Like, I know this stuff is real. Chaos magic, too, sigils, and done some really crazy conscious explorations. But I can tell you that it's not as definitive as everyone's making it out to be. Like, the conscious realm is chaotic. It just is. It's not linear. It's not set in stages like we all want it to be. So our mind, that would make it a perfect little product that our minds can make sense about. It's not really like that. It doesn't even work that way. It doesn't work in levels or stairs like we think it does. Just like chaos magic. You know, if you're into trying to manifest things in a practical sense, it doesn't really work as perfect as you want it to work. It's a bit chaotic when things come to pass. And how I know, out of all the interviews that I've done, I'm not saying I'm an expert. There's people that have done way more interviews than me, but I've interviewed a lot of damn people. How do I know when someone's telling me the truth? Is there are things about their story that don't make sense to any of us that really happened. They can't explain everything away perfectly all the time. They don't have a perfect presentation. Just all these little things help me know, plus a bit of intuition when someone's telling the truth. Right? Just like, you know how hard it was to find a legitimate person that had some psychic ability. I'm not talking about a full-fledged psychic. I'm just saying somebody that had some psychic ability out of all the 40 or 50 people that told me they were psychic. It was really hard, you know. Have any independent astronomers reported? Yes, there's a guy. See, I should have got his name. If you Google, there's a Brazilian guy on YouTube. He's awesome at astronomy, really good. Matter of fact, he caught the tail of this thing. It's really small, but what he's saying is that their telescopes or whatever aren't looking at it totally correctly. It's got some kind of a small tail behind it, and he shows it in his pictures, but he's not affiliated with any scientific community program or whatever. He has his own observatory, you know. Neil deGrasse Tyson. I mean, look, Neil deGrasse Tyson makes a good point about this, though. I'm with him, you know. Obviously, he's saying it's not aliens or whatever, but he does say the same that I do. Like, we always jump to, like, he made this point, okay? You take the God Yahweh, or we don't even have to use Yahweh. We can go Greek or whatever. Now, we can explain how lightning works now, right? We know how lightning works to this day. We can explain it away scientifically. We can study it. Back then, they had no idea what it was. It's lightning. It's something crazy electrical storm. It's Poseidon. It's God. It's Yahweh. See what I mean? So we tend to do this a lot. Like, we theorize stuff, and then we try to find facts to bring to our theories when we should be doing things the other way around. This is why I stress so much, like so freaking much, man, about Robert Monroe's books. Get the audio book, okay? Like the way he explored consciousness wasn't his theories and then putting facts to those theories. It was just exploring the OBE thing that was happening to him, bringing back his experience and trying to put the facts and pieces together. That's the way we should do everything. If we're if we're really like trying to find the truth to something. I'm just saying. I started to use I get on rants about that stuff because I'm telling you, there are times when I feel like giving up on just talking about other things because of the BS that's covered in it's like diamonds covered in mounds of cow shit all the time. It's it's rough, man. Neil and Trump are on the same level, are they? Are they? I didn't know that. Anyways, what else? Oh, if you haven't, so I know some people don't like supporting the broadcast if just like through Patreon or if they don't get anything back, so to speak. So there's another way you can support the broadcast. You can, there's going to be 2 links in the description, one for Audible. So here's the thing. If you hadn't read Robert Monroe's book, get Robert Monroe's book on Audible. Click on the link, get the trial, and then listen to the book. And if you don't want to keep getting it, cancel it. But if you happen to keep, subscribing to Audible, it will support the show. Another really, really cool thing that we're affiliated with now here on Lighting the Void is Base 44. When I won't talk about that, but here's what it does. So if you want to build any app in the world, like say you have an idea for an app, or why don't they have this on the web? Or I got a really cool idea for something. Now it has a really, really cool AI machine that you can tell it, hey, this is what, you can just talk to it. This is what I want my app to do. And it will build it for you. It's amazing. You can go back, mess with it and just keep talking to it and it'll just keep building the app for you. So it just takes what you're telling it, comes up with the code, builds it, shows it to you, lets you play with it and go, is that it? And you're like, no, I need it to do this, and that, until it's amazing, right? It really is. It's really cool. I've been playing around with it too. There'll be a link in the description for that. Again, totally free. You don't have to pay anything for it. You can build your own app for free with this thing. But just a disclaimer, if you happen to upgrade your plan and you really get involved with what you're trying to build, man, you can build apps and sell them. You can make a whole business out of this stuff if you want to. But if you do happen to go that route, it will help support the radio show. 2 really cool things, 2 things we talk about a lot. So other than that, I really want to thank the people that have supported the show, like Ari, April, you guys, everyone that supported. Man, I love you guys. I'm going to do the best for you that I can to find this stuff. We got to get back into the OBE thing, but we won't talk about 3-eye Atlas for a while. We'll wait a few weeks and see. We'll wait. We'll see what happens. 4 to 6. What is it? Do you know the date, Bryce? I don't even know the damn date. Did your
for
when it's October something, right? When this thing's coming through?
Yeah, it's somewhere in October
25th or something like that.
I think it's when it's going to be the closest to the Earth. I think something like that.
We'll wait.
Yeah,
we'll wait and talk about it then. Just remember remember everything that we talked about today. When this thing comes by, all the secure team stuff, all the fantastical stuff. And if I'm wrong and it's aliens or it's something crazy, then I'm wrong. But just remember this, like go back and, look at what we do psychologically with this stuff, Is it December the 5th now? I thought it was in October. Well, it's coming regardless. I think it's just a few weeks away though. I thought December was Stranger Things. Getting old, man. Love you guys.
so that's a good conspiracy to explore.
Hey, yeah, by the way, on Sunday nights, if you're not doing anything, we try to run movie night in Discord. I don't know if we're supposed to or not, but we do. And the new Stranger Things is we're always in Discord. I mean, even when I'm driving around, I'm in Discord. So the new Stranger Things is coming out, so we're catching up on Stranger Things. And hopefully we're going to time it just right when the new shows come out, too. So come join the Discord and hang out with us. Love you guys. Thanks for your listenings. Thanks for your support. Keep it here. More stuff's coming. The regular audio broadcasts will be coming out. If you're not a YouTuber, that's coming back. I'm not even playing. I've got hundreds, if not at least 1,000 of those people going, when are you coming back? They just don't use YouTube. And I tell them I'm on YouTube, but they don't care. They like the original audio, like podcast style. So we'll be getting that back soon too. The damn editing and all that stuff. Love you guys. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. We'll probably do one more broadcast before the weekend. And patrons, members, stay tuned. Something's coming. Love you.
Wishing he was someone else because the posters on the wall, they don't look like a him at all. So he ties it up, he tucks it in, he pulls it back and gives a grin, laughing at himself because he knows he ain't loved at all. He gets discouraged from the can and makes him feel like a man because he's loving all the ladies, but the ladies don't love him at all. Not drunk, he's only stuck on himself, and then he has the nerve to say he needs a decent girl. Looking at herself but wishing she was someone else because the body of the dollar don't look like a hers at all. So she straps it on, she sets it in, she throws it up, but gives a grin, laughing at herself because she knows she ain't bad at all. I caught up in the trends where the truth began to bend, and the next thing you know, man, there just ain't no truth left at all.